And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. And my name is Ron Foster, and I'm touching base with you as I do every day except for Sunday. And yeah, we are here and we are going to have an amazing show today. I have, we're going to talk to the Mr. Kamal, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have him on today. So let me just do all the things that I normally do around here. We'll see who's here, who's on Instagram. Has the Instagram people start popping in yet? Okay, let's see. Okay, we're here, and well, we're here. Let me see. I'm gonna put in here. We are talking Wisdom Wednesday with author, photographer Kamal X. And let me take you through some of the photos. Usually we have people popping in on a Wednesday. I'm not sure if this is getting out there, but I am seeing no one in our comment box. What's going on? You guys are usually here. What's happening? Are we live? Are we on? It says we are on. Okay. I just got to trust the system. I'm going to trust it. Okay, so anyway, here we are. I'm going to take you. Usually, I go through politics and all the other stuff that's happening in the world, but that is not going to happen today because I need every minute, every second for this time with Kamal. So let me give you an introduction. There we go. I see someone in the comment box. There's Mr. Omar. We're live. What's going on, Omar? How you doing? But let me take you through this presentation just to kind of give you a feel of this amazing photographer, Mr. Kamal X. So just gonna go through a couple of his photos. Later on, we're gonna get some information behind them, but this is his work, and I just love his work. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm just gonna take you through it. Just take you through it. I mean, I love the fact that also in here he has a lot of photos of himself in his journey. His Instagram is really a journey of his life. And if you don't know, you know it is I am Kamal X. That's on Instagram. So all you folks on Instagram world, this is his work, and he's going to come on in a moment. But I just wanted to give you a little exposure of his work. So man, I can't tell you how happy I am. I met Jamal at Fort Greene Park during one of our Soul Summits. And I walked over and said, wow, this guy is set up. He had his photos out there, his pictures, and he had the stands and everything. This man was like set up for success. And I said, wait a minute, I need to talk to this brother. I need to. My friend just said, let me just figure out where he got all this stuff from. Long story short, I fell in love with his work ever since the moment meeting him. But most of all, it was his personality that I fell in love with more. He was so approachable, so kind, and just really able to connect, just sharing. He was open, and so this is some of the work. And so, you know, I'm gonna have him on. I'm gonna bring him on right now. So this is a moment with our wonderful guest, Kamal X.
Hey, hey, I am so happy to be here. So excited. Thank you for the wonderful, warm introduction. I really appreciate that. And I'm so happy to be here. This is truly a blessing. And yeah, we met at Fort Greene Park and look where we are today. This is a great moment. I'm really happy to be here. Um, a little shy because you showed photos. I'm so happy to see those photos. Those are photos from actually like maybe, oh geez, like maybe 5 years ago, 5 6 years ago. So kind of still in my look at Burning Man.
Yeah, you're
Back
doing
in
your
the
thing.
day kind of thing. So it's kind of cool to see these because I haven't seen some of these in a while. And this is around the time that I was really like taking my artistry seriously actually and like deciding to, go beyond an Instagram photographer and choose to be what I consider my form of artistry and kind of like pushing my bounds. So it was actually really dope to see some of this stuff. I appreciate it very much.
Well, also, for those that don't know, as I'm going through these, I'm sharing with everyone as we just talk. We're just chatting it up just to start it all off. But Jamal is 6'5",
Yeah,
correct?
6'5", Kamal,
Six
6'6",
five.
6'5", yeah, yeah.
Kamal is 6'5", and he's a big dude. He's a
Yeah,
tall
yeah.
dude.
It creates an interesting dynamic when I'm shooting, especially street photography, because
Yes.
often I'm taller than the subject. So it's always interesting. I'm normally not flexible, but when I'm shooting, for some reason, I can really, I don't know, I figure out a way to make it make sense. But yeah, it's an interesting obstacle having my height and being a photographer. Good morning,
Kamal,
everyone. I'm seeing
yes.
the comments. Good morning, everyone. Or
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
morning.
And we
Yeah.
usually go through the comments. So how about this? We got Jazzy in the building. Let me see here. Good morning, Jazzy's in the building. Miss G is in the building. She says that's a different perspective to view the world. Chrissy says, wow, 6'5". We have in here. We have also good morning to Lisa Seeley's in the building. That's one of our pillars. She's in here. Morning, Ron, she
Different perspective
says.
for
And we
sure.
got Mr. Kamal in here. Who else? And we got Omar is in the building, another amazing photographer. Miss G, she's a photographer as well. So we got photographers in the building. Let me just see who's in here on Instagram. There's some folks in Instagram. If you are in Instagram, come on over to our YouTube channel. Just go to Touch Base Daily. Just put in a search, or put in Ron Lewis Photos, and you'll be right in there with us on this live broadcast with our wonderful, wonderful guest, Kamal X. And so, anyway, I am going to go right into it. But I like your photos. I love that
This is
in your
bringing me back.
journey, your Instagram is like a diary.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I definitely choose to look at it that way. Like I have work that, is like more, I guess, I want to put out to the world and show as my professional, like the good ones. Then
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind sharing things that are a little bit more normal and personable and just share a little bit about my journey. So I kind of balance it pretty well. And I think the key for me that's kind of given me that, like I've given myself that permission because I've kind of like chosen to not take Instagram as seriously as I used to. You know,
Mm.
Similar to how we actually met at Fort Greene Park. Before that, like most of us, we're trying to do what we can do on Instagram, social media. The algorithms are doing all we can do to get our stuff out there as far as possible. And it's a great medium for sure, a tool. But I felt like something was missing. I wasn't having that connection. So I kind of realized that Instagram was it was like limiting my ability to really connect.
Mm.
So me having that show exhibit, pop-up exhibit at Fort Greene Park, was a part of that journey of like letting go of Instagram and kind of getting into meeting real people and really getting real reactions from people, because sometimes you can be onto something and be like, figuring out your way or trying new things out. And people may not, I don't think Instagram is the best place for certain levels of art. So
Yes.
you might be questioning what you're doing and thinking you're not good enough or something's wrong. I should do this more. I should post that more. But is that taking you closer to your voice, or is that you trying to figure out a way to please an algorithm? So once I like kind of like stepped away from Instagram and started being more into the real world and connecting, going to events and having my own pop-ups and doing little like street billboards of my own, like I found like I got much more success and exposure that way. And
Well,
it's better for your mental health, I think.
you have definitely done it because, like I said, I ran when we were in Fort Greene Park and I saw your pictures. They were just, you had them on these nice metal frames and they were just hanging there, two-sided. It was like being
Mhm.
in a gallery. And
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, wow, this guy has a pop-up gallery in Fort Greene Park at this Soul Summit. People all over the place, but everyone was stopping by
wow.
because it was so beautiful.
And that was honestly, now I think that was my first time doing that.
Really?
And to look at today, where I have, from that work from that day, those photos kind of like morphed or evolved into my second book, Black Astronaut, which, we're here talking about today. So it's
Yes.
that, that was like a big step into like, okay, I think I got something. I want to see how the world reacts to it. And I think we might, especially when I got the feedback at the event, look at that. So you're gonna make me cry, man.
I was so excited to get this book. This book
Yeah.
is, can I say to everyone, I when I picked up the book, when it got here, I went through it, and it is a plethora. Of photography during COVID, the pandemic,
Hmm.
Black Lives Matter, and
Hmm.
the photos are just, and this is a coffee table book. This is not this is a book you just sit on your coffee table and you look at it, but also his forward
Hmm.
blessed my heart. I was almost in tears reading his forward, and I loved it. What made you pick these colors, like
Oh,
the orange and the black and the? It's so and it's just so beautifully laid out.
oh man.
And again, this is a forward, and I don't. I was telling X, I was talking about. I said, I don't usually read the forwards. I just go right into the book. And this forward, I read it from the beginning to the end, and it was so moving. So
Mm.
let's start with that. So, um, and this is not your first book. You had another book before this,
Yeah, A
correct?
Quest Supreme was my first book. It came out in 2020. Yeah, in 2020, that was my first book. That was self-published. And I learned so much from that process. And I think, like you said, with the design of this book, I'm proud that everything is my choosing. Like the publisher, they tried to put their hands on it. I said, no, I need to do it the way I want it to be a part of me. I don't want it to be some sort of like, well, we think this might work. I was like, no, this needs to be an example of me. I really fought for that. And yeah, the colors and everything. It just, when you lived it, I was out there taking those pictures. I was out there traveling America in the middle of a COVID when we didn't have vaccines and we didn't know what was going on. I'm in pretty good shape
Mm-hmm.
now, but at that time I wasn't in good shape. So I was very fearful of the possibility of getting COVID and getting sick and all that. And because the experience I experienced to get 3 years of shooting, I guess I knew what the vibe of the book had. I knew it had to match the feelings and the emotions that I experienced when I was out there. And for me, it's like a very like, because you think about yellow and black, what do you think? Like that's like a warning, caution, and if you think about the deeper context of that, I'm not just putting it out
Mm-hmm.
there like caution, but those colors mean something's happening, something's going on. Pay attention, look where you're going. And if you look at COVID and what that was for all of us, we're still,
Mm-hmm.
bouncing back from that. That's kind of what that was. It was kind of like caution tape, and we all had to figure our way out, which is
Ah.
the reason for me calling it Black Astronaut, because I felt like the America I knew, just like all of us in this chat, I'm sure can relate, seemed like this world's flipped upside down. It wasn't the America we recognized. It didn't go any way that we thought it would go. And I felt like I was exploring a new planet. And so
Woo.
that's where I came up with the whole concept of like, I feel like I'm an astronaut out here. Like you had all the face masks, all the gloves on, you're taking pictures at all these protest events on airplanes with nobody on them, which was so scary, weird, hotels with no one in them, and it just felt like I was on a distant planet. So that's where the whole concept was birthed from, and
Now,
we're here today.
in this book, you ended up going. During COVID, you ended up going to 13 cities.
Yeah, which was, and
13
so
cities during COVID.
right. And to be honest with you, and I'm so happy we're having this conversation because I don't know, I just feel I feel a good vibe here. When we saw that tape, George Floyd, um, I felt like I had to make a decision. Like this is
Mm,
it's bigger than me. You know, it's not about being comfortable and typing about it on Instagram or talking to my friends, and you know, just another day of I'm pissed off, but not being
mm,
able to do anything. And for a lot of us, that's just the reality. That's how it goes. Unfortunately, we can pray, we can send light, we can try to find ways to help, but sometimes we feel like we don't have an option. And so the fact that I knew I was a photographer, and I know the history of photography as it relates to how we've used photography to help us do different, you know, civil rights things before, all types of ways of getting our story out there. I was like, this is your time, bro. Like, you can't sit back and be cool. And like, there's so many people that wish they can do something. You
yes,
actually can. So
yes.
there was a big fear of, you know, getting sick, dying, like all that was actually a big part of it. But when I saw that tape and just knowing our lineage and where we come from and what we stand for, I knew
Hmm.
I had to do something about it. And I had to just trust the vibe. So I knew I couldn't just do Oakland. I was living in Oakland at the time. I was like, if you're going to do this, you got to do it. It can't
Wow.
be one place. You got to make sure you stand out. And then there was so many, you know, photographers I think that weren't black, to be honest, that I did not understand the voice, the
Yes.
what we were
Yeah.
trying to say. They didn't get it. They just went for the burning cars and the yelling and the, you know, all
And the
that
fifth.
BS. Yeah, the thousand fists. I swear, I got tired of it. How many of these we gonna do? Like it's like
The
every
fifth.
photo. It's like Jesus. Like there's not more happening than the fist. Like
A
are you
billion fifth.
uncomfortable? Are you spending time? Are you take that one photo, but did you just walk away? Because I guarantee you, after that fist, something else happened. Especially if you had the
Yes.
time to actually talk to people. You know, so I really wanted to make sure I you know gave it an like really put myself out there so
Hmm.
I can give myself the opportunity to see something different. And
And you took
luckily,
risk.
I,
You took risk. I mean,
yeah.
like you were saying, you know, you were not in the best of health or the best of shape, used to say,
Hmm.
and you're out there. I know for myself, I was the same way. My friend was like, "Hey, Ron, aren't you going to the rallies? Are you going to do it?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"Nah, I'm not going out there. Too many germs. No
Right,
way."
right, right, right.
And then I was like, "Wait a minute. If my friend, she's a white girl from the Midwest." And I was like, if homegirl wants to go to this rally, I should go with her. So went out there, and it was like, okay, you see this amazing crowds of people, and you just start taking a picture. But then it changed. It literally changes your life because you realize it's a greater calling and a greater purpose. And you seem to have found that. Before we go dive into the book, I have a question.
Shoot.
Where does the X come from? Can
Oh,
we
oh, I love that.
Kamal
Hmm.
X? Where's the I mean, you couldn't get a better cover with the X on it. I mean, like
Oh
really.
man, thank you
Um,
so much.
where did X come from?
It's twofold. It's a couple things. But initially, the number one is Malcolm X for sure. That
Yes.
Malcolm X story. Um, you know, Spike Lee's movie Malcolm X. I remember watching that when I was a kid. Like I remember going to the like my dad took me to see that movie. And I even remember having the Malcolm X Scully at that point. Um, and going to that movie. I can't remember it too well, but I know we went to see it. And when I saw that movie again when I got older, and I really, you know, there's a lot going on. He goes through three major phases of his life from I can't
Yes.
remember the names, but Red to I can't remember the names, but he has the three major moments. And for me personally, that was a big reflection of my life. You know,
Mm,
being the guy that was into the wrong crowd, pushing it, knowing you're gifted, knowing something special, knowing you got people that care about you, but
hmm.
still having that rebellion in you, that rage, and not necessarily knowing what to do, to being meeting the right people, to like luckily finding healing and using that same rage that used to be destructive and using it now in a positive sense. So
Uh,
that's a big reason. So it's kind of a shout out to Malcolm X, but also freedom. Like you said earlier, freedom is a big part of my who I am. Freedom is
yeah.
who I am. Like I promote it in every way I can. My work, everything is rooted in some sort of like getting us to think for ourselves, realizing that we don't have to be confined to any box. We are who we choose to be, and there's no limitations on anything if you believe in what you're fighting for. So I also chose X in terms of the unknown. So like going into the unknown, finding your freedom. So I would say, and I just thought it was dope. So it's like my dad thought I changed. My dad thought I changed my name legally. He was like, "Did you change your name?" I was like, "No, man, it's just an artist name. Relax, relax." Oh, father-in-law. Oh, that's amazing, Lisa. That's amazing. I'm
Yeah,
seeing some of the comments.
Lisa.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was looking at Lisa said her my father-in-law was a bodyguard for Malcolm X. That
Mm,
yeah. This
that's
is a dope,
beautiful.
as you say, this
You
is
know what's
a really
funny?
cool community.
Adding to the story, so I said the whole, the Spike Lee movie, which was a
Yes.
big influence on my life. I'm sure plenty of people too. I got to hand him a copy of Black Astronaut 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah, in person.
Oh man.
He was doing a book signing in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn
Yes.
Museum.
At the museum. I was
Yeah,
there last week also. Well,
hmm
I was there is it already 2 weeks ago? I think it was two
yeah. I
weeks
think
now.
2 or 3 weeks ago,
Yeah,
one of
2 weeks ago.
those.
Yep.
And I came in there and I had my. I don't, if you guys purchase the book, you'll see like I have like Black Astronaut outfits. It's more. I get into character with this thing. Like there's a coat look, there's a briefcase, there's a lot going on. So I came in there with that look, because I'm thinking he's going to sign his book. I got 10 seconds. Who knows? But to my surprise, like, and this is something for any creative out there, like creatives understand creatives because when I
Yes.
dropped that book down on the desk, he went like this initially, and I was kind of freaked out because I'm like, oh no, Spike might go off on me. I don't want Spike to go off on me. Like, what? Whose book is this? What is this? But he just looked at me. I think he realized what it was, and he immediately smiled and gave me the biggest dap and said, "Congratulations, brother, you did it." And when I tell you that moment, it just meant the world to me. We talked for like, I mean, it wasn't long. It was maybe like 40 seconds, but he just really was inspiring and just understood the journey. I guess because as a creative, he knows how hard it is to get this stuff made and
Yes.
made the way it needs to look for it to look like what we really want it to look like. So, that's kind of like this whole Malcolm X thing, my name, and 2, 3 weeks ago, handing it to him. That's probably one of my most memorable moments I've had in my artist's
Oh
career so
man.
far.
Yeah. Like I said, this book is beautiful. It is well laid out. It is so, I mean, it's so well done. And so we're gonna do what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cue this up. But before while I'm queuing this up to where I want to take this, let me just remove it for a moment. I have another question for you, sir.
Let's
I
go. I
have
like
another one.
questions. I like
I have
questions.
I have lots of questions. Where and when did your photography career begin?
So just 2 nights ago, I went through my Lightroom to see like when was the first photo. When
Uh-huh.
when was the one that you took with a real camera, not an iPhone. No offense to the iPhone. It was 2015 was when I first picked up a camera. I mean, again, this is just traveling. I was just traveling, taking pictures. There was no, this is going to be a thing. It was just like, oh, I'm traveling and I'm going places, and this is way better than an iPhone in terms of the
Mm,
quality and what you can do. And it was also like a cool little adventure of like figuring out the dials and like shooting manual. I immediately was attracted to that because it
mhm.
just seemed like a puzzle. Because I like puzzles, like Scrabble, stuff like that. I really like that kind of stuff. So it was a great challenge as I was traveling, like figuring out what the f-stop means and what is ISO and all that stuff. So I would say 2015 I started, and I didn't take it seriously until about maybe 3 years after. And it took like a
Mm.
really good conversation with a friend of mine that's a teacher, and she went into my apartment at the time when I first lived in Brooklyn. I was living in Park Slope, I think, and she was like, "You're an artist." I was like, "What?" She's like, "I'm looking at your place. You are an artist. You need to start taking you need to take it seriously. Like, why are you just taking pictures and putting them on Instagram? Like, why are you not selling your stuff? Why are you not?" And I just trusted her so much. I just kind of went with it. And since then, it's been a wonderful journey. It's been difficult. It's real. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts. There's no breaks. It takes a lot of dedication, more than I ever thought. You know,
Mm.
I think in the beginning you think about the money, you think about how expensive all this stuff is, right? And that's like
Yeah.
a thing because
Yes,
it's
yes.
expensive. That's the first part they tell you. It's expensive. You got to get ready for all that. But then there's also the dedication it requires if you want your stuff to look the way you see it in your mind. Like
Yes.
that stuff
Yes.
doesn't just happen. It doesn't just you get lucky. Like you gotta go. Like you gotta go. And it's just and I think that's some of the reason why when I had that moment with Spike, I feel like and I've had that moment with other people too, where it's like there's an understanding, like, yo, I know. It's real. Like the
Um,
dedication, the effort, other people don't get it. Like it becomes excessive depending on how serious and once you find that topic or that route that you really want to go. And that's the struggle too, like getting to that point because you got to like you're in that unknown, you're in the X, you're trying to figure out well what calls to me, what speaks to me, what which I think was one of the
mm.
bigger challenges in the beginning. Like yeah, like you go from travel photos to what now? Like what are you going to do? You know,
Yeah,
so
your other book, Supreme,
the Quest Supreme.
Supreme,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, well, first of all, if anyone's seen your Instagram and checked out the Instagram, way back into your Instagram account, your photography is just so amazing, and it's amazing that you've been to 40 countries.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been to 40 countries. Do
Yes.
you
It was
think?
a journey.
Yeah, I mean, what was that like to be traveling 40 countries? How did it happen? What caused you to go to these 40 countries? And I'm sure, and I'm going to tie this with your book because I'm sure that all this experience that you gain, so you just pick up a camera, you learn the camera, you're already traveling trotting
I'm already on that
trotting the
journey.
globe,
Yeah.
and then now you're learning all of this on what do you call it, on the off the cuff, on
Right.
site knowledge. You're just learning as you go. What was it like to be traveling 40 countries? How did you do it? Did you have some
Um,
massive trust fund and you just say, you know what, I'm gonna just
nah,
take Papa's money and just go and
it's a
travel? What
it's a
did you
couple
do?
factors. Well, one, I've been in real estate since I was about 17 years old. So,
Mhm.
and I became a real estate agent when I was 21. I've
Wow.
always had, creativity is, I think, a big part of my who I am. But for some reason, especially through my family, more so my mom, I've always had a really good understanding of real estate. So like she really like put me a part of everything and we built things since I was 17 years old. So we've kind of like been a team as relates to that aspect of my life, which I'm
Mm,
thankful for because it's definitely helped give me the freedom to go into, my creativity. Well, it was a
mhm.
journey though. It didn't just like start from 21. Like it was a lot of different avenues I tried to go, thinking this was going to be the route for me, and it would never work out. So definitely having real estate as a part of something else that I do gave me the freedom to travel. But the real inspiration that hit is I lost my best friend to colon cancer at how well 10 years ago. 10 years
Mm.
ago that happened. And we just was celebrate. We did an event for his 10 years after he transitioned, and we did like this big
Wow.
event that was beautiful. I had my photography. It was like a exhibit along with the conversation and dedication to his life because he's been he still inspires me. He was the first artist I ever was friends with, like
Wow.
creative person. So seeing your best friend be a creative and be successful at such a young age, like he was a clothing designer and had celebrities wearing his stuff. He was on
Wow.
television. This guy was on his way, and unfortunately, he got called. But after his transition, I dropped everything. I
Mm.
dropped everything. At that point, I was a life coach and a personal trainer, and I was building my business up to open up a wellness center. Like, and I was
Yeah.
on my way. I was living in LA at the time. And after he passed away, I realized I had nothing else to give to anybody.
Mm.
I completely shut everything down. One of the things that he loved about me was my freedom spirit, because at that point I was living in LA. Before that, I think I was living in Atlanta. I went to Morehouse. And so for him, it was he
Shout
looked at
out to the Morehouse.
he was claustrophobic. So to him, we're both from Newark, New Jersey. So to him, me living in these places, getting on planes, was like, yo, I can't believe you do that, man. This is crazy. Now
Wow.
I'm looking at him like, I remember we used to go to clubs and bars, and he would have to, if it was like in New York especially, if it was like up on a rooftop, he would have to take the stairs because the elevator was just, it would mess with him so much.
Wow.
So after, so I decided a way to kind of show love to him and show how much he meant to me and
Mm-hmm.
continue to find a new relationship with him on a different wavelength. I was going to just do what he loved that I did, but do it to a whole nother level, which was traveling the world. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to
Wow.
backpack. I didn't even know geography that well. Like I was just out there. I remember I went on a 40-day trip to Southeast Asia with some tour company with younger people. I didn't even know the itinerary. I just knew we were going to these three countries. I don't know the cities. I don't know what we're going to see in there. Everyone's like, you don't know we're going to so and so, so and so. I said, I don't understand this. I'm from Newark. We don't know. This isn't a part of my day to day. None of my parents have had passports. None of my friends traveled the world. This is all brand new. But because of my love for Drew, who was my friend that passed, it was like my motivation was to keep pushing, keep pushing. And so when I picked up a camera, maybe a year in, and this is taking breaks. I was able to take breaks. I traveled very cheaply too. Like I stayed in $2 hostels at times. Like you got to figure out a
Hmm.
way. It wasn't
That's right. You
glitz
gotta
and
make your
glam
way.
resorts and fly. It was nothing like that. It was real traveling. To my definition of it anyway. And the thing that I love so much about the route that I chose was I learned how to use a camera while healing from my friend's passing. So, in a
Mm.
lot of ways, my reason for using a camera to shoot was through my healing process and an ode to my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, to this day, I think a lot of the photos I take have a lot of meaning, a lot of feeling, a lot of emotionality, a lot of truth.
Yes.
And I think it's rooted in the fact of how it happened. When someone earlier said, "What's wrong with, the fist?" We said like a bunch of fists, and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with doing fist photos. It's just a matter of understanding that as a photographer and creative, you're looking for something different. You're looking for something new. You're looking for
Mm-hmm.
the voice behind the representative. Because we've seen that, and that's beautiful. It's strong. It's who we are, but it doesn't mean that's all of who we are. And my
Yeah.
process of dealing with that, the way I chose to do it, and picking up a
Mm-hmm.
camera in the same way, just kind of taught me just how multidimensional we really are, and
Yeah.
how when you choose to find, I don't know, when you put your heart into something, you just never know where it'll take you. Similar to what we talked about earlier in your trip to
Yes.
South Africa. You never know what the journey will bring once you take that risk and really go into that unknown.
Wow. Well, we're gonna show some of the photos I'm gonna share that are on your Instagram. They are in the book. And if
Mm,
you want, you can talk about the stories behind them if you want
mm,
to. But and since they're so nicely lit and nicely presented on Instagram, I said, let me just show some of these photos. Um, I mean, the book, like I said, for all the, I mean, there during COVID, there was COVID, all this new movement of everyone's now being aware. There are people that want to be allies to the Black community, and all this stuff is going on. We got a presidential election. I mean, when you talk about a perfect storm,
yeah.
um, 2020 was a perfect storm. And so uh, you were able to take these photos. I love how you also hit the book up. I
Mm,
also, for those that are going to look for this book, it is on Amazon. You can go
hmm
to Amazon. That's where I got my copy from. And you let me just bring it up for a moment so people can see it on Amazon. You just
hmm
go to Amazon, just put in Black Astronaut hardcover. It was released just a couple of months ago, October
hmm
24th. And but I love the way you broke up the book. You wrote
mm,
Mothership Stay Home. That was
hmm
part one. Part two
mm.
is The Big Bang, Higher
Yeah, yeah,
Power,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then Gravity, When We Close Our Eyes. and then deep space, the great beyond, and the antimatter, the internet explorer, and then the zenith, the speed of light. I mean, first of all, can I say, how did you come up with these? Like, what was your inspiration for breaking up the book into
So,
these sections?
so to be honest, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you're sharing. It means the world to me. And to be honest, this is my first time. Like I did a book before, but obviously you want to take it to the next level. You want to keep
Yes.
pushing yourself and go, see what you can do, like go into your unknown again. And when I put all the photos, because it's like 3 years of shooting, it's going to 13 cities. There's different rallies. There's the protest. There's the
Yes.
presidential vibe. There's the women's rights thing going on. There's my personal journey going on. There's the partying scene and people with, going to underground parties and when, that you weren't supposed to go because of lockdowns and no one had a COVID vaccine. And so there was the rebellion on that end too, and I was, so I'm looking at all these photos. I'm like, how are you going to make sense of this? Like, how in the hell are you going to because, the general thing would be, it was like, okay, protest book, America in protest. That would be the generic thing that you would do. And I didn't want to do that. One of the things from all the, artists that I look up to, they often talk about how you got to lean into who you are. You got to really give them your truth. And that's the thing that's probably going to make a difference versus just being generic. So when I really looked at it, I kind of, again, with the Black astronaut concept, that came first. Me realizing that I felt like I was an astronaut living in my own country. I was in a world that was upside down. And it actually gave me freedom because once I kind of changed the narrative and I made it more about what I saw versus this is just a history lesson on what America is. This is more about my experience with this American vision. It gave me so much more freedom. It gave me room to I can do a gravity section where we're only talking about grief, gravity pulling down. And then I can go and do deep space, which is going into the Bushwick Club scene, which was crazy because everybody was passing COVID around like it was nothing. It was just like, it was insane.
Going to the club during COVID.
Right. And it was crazy to be there. I'm in there masked up looking crazy, but I knew I had to sacrifice. So I felt like because the story was so potent, it also deserved to see it because this is only one time in history. We will never,
we'll never see it again. Hopefully
we'll never see it again. Yeah, God willing. And you want to make sure the truth is told. And was more going on than what was just going on in the protests. There was way more of a conversation that needed to be had about the unrest and how we were dealing with it in different avenues. So that's kind of, and coming up with concepts, looking through the glossary of all the terms that go into space. And I'm big into that kind of stuff. I love sci-fi. That's my genre. Interstellar. Interstellar was a big inspiration. Oh, we got the fireworks. Hey, I like that. Interstellar was a great inspiration. Man on the Moon, Kid Cudi, who was one of my favorite artists, was a great inspiration. And just and then going into music back in the 70s and 80s, like Harlem Funkadelic and all that. Like I was listening to so much music that was taking me on this journey, and I felt like it really was a great way of expressing our journey in this time today. So that's kind of where it all comes together in a cool way. I really appreciate you liking it because I got some pushback on that. For sure.
I love it. Like I said, I went. Because also being a fellow photographer out in the streets and photographing the whole Black Lives Matter, and it's so beautiful when you see, I'm so proud of you as a photographer, taking what we all out there doing in the streets, and you were able to take and make this amazing book. And so for we photographers that share the same experience, obviously you took it to a truly next level. You went to 13 cities, you went in the clubs, you went to the backgrounds, you literally took a sampling of all of the different areas that were being affected by this transformation of America.
Right.
Disease, pandemic, presidential election,
which
black,
is crazy.
everyone's trying to find their place as in equality and justice,
Hmm.
and you're taking it all. You will take literally was like a scientist with a petri
Oh
dish
man.
and just like putting everything into this book, and it
Mm.
flows so nicely. Uh, I just wanted to read something for the audience because this really meant the world to me, and you can take it where you want to go. It's in your conclusion, and
Mm.
I thought it was so beautifully written. You
Mm.
say, we will never reach our greatest potential if we allow the weight of damaging circumstances to hold us back from taking off into the limitless of the great unknown.
Mm.
Dreams require facing parts of yourself and the world that are uncomfortable. Sitting in the discomfort and the ultimately letting go creates a new frame of mind.
Mm.
When I think back to how afraid and lost I was at the time in my life, I never would have imagined that by deciding to not give up on myself, I would lead the life that I am so thankful for today. And then last but not least, you say, for many of us, finding forgiveness will serve as our most important step towards manifesting our own freedom.
Mm.
Now, I know that's a mouthful, but
Mm.
what inspired? I mean, that was such a powerful conclusion. I literally sat on the sofa and I read it probably 5 times
Mm.
because it meant so much. And again, like this last closing, for many of us, finding forgiveness will serve as our most important step towards manifesting our own freedom. What
Mm.
where did that what is that where did that come from?
As it relates to, especially this book, there was a point. So there's also another part that I cover is the anti-vax movement, which was
Mm,
mainly a very Trump-centered environment.
yes.
Um, I almost went to January 6th, to be honest. I don't know, God had a different plans, but I almost was going to go
Hmm.
to that, not knowing that's what was going to happen. But so from seeing all these different angles of the journey of the rage outside, whether it's women's rights, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the political thing, what all of it, I had a different perspective than I think most people did because I seen and actually listened. Because one of the things as a photographer, you shouldn't. I try not to be judgmental. I
Hmm.
do my best to give everyone the same chance and voice because I believe that's what I would want from someone. I want a fair opportunity. Listen to hear like I shouldn't be judged for anything you perceive me as. It doesn't mean I need to agree, but I don't
Hmm.
want to judge your beliefs. So in that space, I realized a lot of the friction that was going on and a lot of the things that was happening. I was like, people aren't hearing each other because if you
Mm,
actually spend time and listen to some of the things that people are saying outside of your group, a lot
yes.
of it was kind of rooted in the same emotion. It's just a different way of getting it out. They're choosing, it's all I'm afraid. It's all I don't know what's going to happen. It's all I care about my family. I care about my future. I care about what happens tomorrow. And I'm confused and don't know what to do. And everyone was kind of going their own route about it. So my compassionate side looked at all that and said,
Mm,
man, I just hope that we find forgiveness in all of this because if we continue to go the way America, you see, we are now as Americans in the world
hmm.
at large right now. If we continue to just keep, sticking our ground and not understanding, choosing to be forgiving and understand where other people might be coming from, where is that going to leave us? Like
Yes.
individually, where is that going to leave you? There's so many people I run into, and there's so much anger and rage and some of the things that they're angry about aren't even happening anymore, and it's
Yes.
like, how, is that serving you, and I got to those words come from my personal journey years ago, finding my peace in my rage and just knowing the gift that it gives you once you really decide to take that internal walk and be
Mm,
honest with yourself and face the truth. Like, don't lie to
yeah.
yourself. Don't try to make it seem like it's all perfect and cool. Like, face your ugly, face your anger, face where it really came from. Get help if you need it. But on the other end of that darkness and fog, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of love, a lot of opportunity, a lot of like just joy and just possibility, more so new possibility.
Possibilities. Yeah.
And that's kind of what one of the things I kind of really wanted this book to be about. I wanted to be, that's why, again, I didn't make it America in Protest 2020. I wanted it to be something more personal. I wanted us to realize that we're all astronauts in our own right. Like, we might not look at it that way, but if you look at it figuratively, the concept I'm using as I explain what an astronaut is in the book, I feel like we're all going into our unknowns. We're all dealing with environments that don't make sense, and we still got a mission to complete, you know. So I want us to be the best when we get to wherever we're trying to go, instead of arriving and we're broke down. You know, we're angry. We
Hmm.
can't even enjoy the beauty of getting to the destination because we're holding on to so much hate and pain. And
Wow.
I don't have the answers, I don't, but I do think it's something to think about. I do think it's something to think about as it relates to each individual. And I hope that, you know, inspires people just to have a conversation with themselves. That's my hope.
Wow. Well, I tell you, like I said, I mean, for those that have not gone to his IG account, check out his IG account. I am Kamal X is I on IG, and I'm been going through some of these photos, and you will be moved. I mean, it's just such a great body of work that you have there. But not only that, you have your website. For those that can pop onto his website, let me see if I can pop that in here. Where I did have
And
this up
someone
here.
asked if I got COVID. To my knowledge, I never got COVID. To my knowledge, I never got, never, to my knowledge, but I don't know. I've
You
traveled a
know,
lot, so I don't know. I think my, what is that called? My system, I think it might be pretty high because I've just dealt with so much sickness in different environments. So I could have had it and just didn't know,
and
honestly.
you know, it's and it's interesting when you are doing what you're doing, as in you're flying from state to state, you're in city to city, you are connecting with all different types of people, you are working on adrenaline.
Yeah,
And people don't people
yeah,
underestimate the power of adrenaline.
yeah.
I remember when I was in South Africa for 3 months, I traveled in and out on Jeeps, Jeep plane, Jeep
Mm.
plane, Jeep plane, Jeep plane. That was my whole life for 3 months, photographing in Africa. And as soon as it was time to come home, is when my body said, and I got sick at the very end of the trip. Like when I got home, came back home to America, my body was like, okay, now you're gonna face the reckoning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Did you
yeah.
get sick at all? Did you get after
Oh,
all of this
so
was over? Did you
great
get
question.
sick?
Great question, because I may have not gotten COVID, but oh, my body went through
Yeah.
HCL. Like, it was one time I almost had a heat stroke. Actually, it was at the some of the best photos I got was at the March on Washington. It was a I Have
Ah,
a Dream
yes. I saw some
anniversary.
of those photos.
Sharpton was it was a big thing. Al Sharpton was out there, and this at you know, this is COVID time, so this is a big thing, you know. And I remember it was so hot, and a lot of people were dropping like flies. A lot of people, they had the
Mm.
ambulances coming in. One of the best photos I got, actually, yeah, yeah. One of the best photos I got. There's a girl. I think we actually talked about it when we met at Fort Greene. There's a girl, and she has like water around her. She's like, it's a side profile, and the reason that even happened was because the fire trucks were hosing in a pot, like misting, hosing, you
Oh,
know,
yes, that was
misting the
amazing.
vibe to like cool us down. And I remember, luckily, one of my friends that was at Howard University Medical School met me there, and she set me down, got me Gatorade. She knew that there was signs of heat stroke coming. So
Wow.
that's, you know, just one of the times where I've had, you know, and you're going, you know, early in the morning, especially when I went to Minnesota for the verdict. You know, I think I got like a couple hours of sleep, if that. It was
Woo.
all night, all morning, all night, all morning. you know, and not to complain, it just is what it is. And like you said, it's the adrenaline thing. It's like if you don't do it, it ain't going to get done. You
That's
know, and
right.
I think that's why it's important for anyone that has that type, anything that's that demanding, to know when to take off. Like once it's done, rest. And I think, and once I finished the book and everything, I did give myself some time. I'm
Good.
just like getting back to a new project now. Like because I know how much it takes to kind of go to that level and what it does to your body. You need to be in some sort of shape, definitely, because it takes a lot. Someone
It's
said,
a
Omar, I
lot.
appreciate your comment, Omar. That was really I really appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah. So
much.
now, because you and I could talk all day, and I know I want to be respectful of your time also, but I know that there's some folks in here that they got some questions. So if you have any questions, put them inside the comment box. But I'm going to definitely go through some of these comments.
Hmm.
Jamel Shabazz says, which we love our Jamel Shabazz. He says, job well done. You have
Is
such
this
an
the
important voice
photographer?
and vision. Yeah, this is Jamel Shabazz, the
Oh man,
photographer.
oh the king, how you doing, man? Thank you so much. I wanted to meet you. I've been hoping to run into you for the longest. I think I've seen you at a couple of events. I've seen you at Spike's Prince party. You were shooting. I was like on the other side of the fence.
Yeah,
But I'm hoping to meet you one day soon. I really really appreciate your work. So
yeah.
so amazing, so amazing. I have some of your books. So amazing.
Jamel Shabazz says that he says, job well done. You have such an important
I'll
voice
hit you
and
up on Instagram.
definitely do that. Let's see here. Elise says it was definitely hot that day. She was there.
It was. It was going down. It was different that day. And they didn't have any, unfortunately they didn't see this coming. So there wasn't a
Mhm.
lot of like water stations and stuff like that. So it was a situation for sure.
Wow. Also, Lee says that's the biggest problem we have. We don't listen to hear each other. Yeah,
Mm.
based on what you shared. Um, we also have the IG account. I'll post his IG account again. Hold on a second. Let me get that up there. His IG account is at I am Kamal X. Okay, so check out the Instagram page, like and share it. Yeah, so there you go for that. Let's go. Jamel says, I salute you both. Thank you, Jamel.
Much love, much love.
Jamel has become my brother. I love him, and he has been such a part of this community. And it's just beautiful to have him here.
Beautiful.
Um,
I'm seriously amazing.
Omar said, if Jamel Shabazz speaks, we all listen.
Word. Definitely. 100%. 100%.
And Lisa says, "Oh, Kamel's reaction, priceless."
Priceless.
See here, we go through some of these also. If you have any questions, put them out there. I'm gonna put this with Omar. Omar said, I just have to say that your storytelling is like a veteran photographer who has been doing this for decades. I am extremely impressed by the heart of your photography. Each image has purpose.
Listen, man, that right there, that's I have goosebumps right now. Thank you so much for
Omar
that. I
is
really appreciate
Omar
that.
is my best friend and mentor, one of my
Awesome.
mentors, and
I really hope
he
that
knows.
everyone reaches out on Instagram, follows. I'll definitely follow back. I would love to stay connected. This is really important, and I appreciate all the love and support you guys are giving me. This is amazing, and I definitely want to, see what you guys got going on, get to know some of you. This is really awesome.
Yeah, this is a great community. Everyone here is really cool. They're genuine in heart. That's why I love being. I just get to facilitate. These are they run the group. This community is ran by its people. Omar says also Oprah needs to get a copy of
Oh
your book.
man, listen, I hope so. If anybody know her, let her know, please.
Yeah, we gotta figure out that it'll happen. Let me tell you, you put it in the universe, it will happen. You don't. I never underestimate what can happen in life. I mean, the journey is full of unexpected turns and surprises.
For
That's
sure.
why it's so good to live and to keep living.
Hmm.
Um, I see a year. Lisa says, "Oh, there we go." Lisa's. Wait,
I'll
oh, where am
call
I? Here we go.
later.
Oh, there we go. There's Lisa. She goes, "Yes, we are a cool bunch." And she says she'll call Oprah later.
Let me know. Let me know. You never know. You never know. You never know.
Yeah. So
You never
here's
know.
another one.
Mm,
If you had to talk to your 16-year-old self,
mm.
what would you tell yourself?
Oh man, great question. Especially the timing of that question. I would say, man, like one, listen to yourself, believe yourself. Believe yourself. I think, especially 16. 16 is still very impressionable. And I went to St. Benedict's Prep in Newark, and great, amazing school. Love that school to death. Probably saved my life in ways I don't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, like any school, they're trying to get you to be the best you can be. So
Yes.
it's oftentimes based on, get your education, become a lawyer, become a doctor, and for me, I always was a creative. I just didn't understand. I didn't know it. So there was
Mm-hmm.
nothing that really was kind of feeding that. So I was always trying to push myself to force myself into arenas that I did not fit. I didn't understand why I was there, but I knew I should be there and I didn't want to get in
Mm-hmm.
trouble. So seeing how my journey was very organic, I'm thankful for the way I picked up a camera in my story with my best friend and traveling and where I am today. I wouldn't take anything back. But if I could go back in a time and have that conversation, I would definitely say, believe yourself. Don't kind of think that your opinion doesn't matter just because these people may want the best for you, but they're not going to live your life. We
Mm-hmm.
all have our own journey. You're 16, so what do you know about? That's pretty heavy stuff for a 16-year-old to be thinking. But I wish someone did pull me to the side and say, "Hey, listen. So what do you like? What do you actually want to do? All right, you're into." Because at that point, I actually joined the newspaper at my school, which was so weird because I was an athlete, and I don't even know. I guess it was kind of me. I don't know. I guess it was kind of in me and I didn't understand it. I think they told us we got to do one other activity and I chose the newspaper. And I actually
Mm-hmm.
ended up being really good in the newspaper and made a big change to it in that 2 years I was on it. And I didn't think anything of it because you're just thinking whatever. But looking at where I am today, it's like, oh, there was a reason why it worked and it went well. So I just wish that someone was being a little bit more understanding and not putting their own journey on mine. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just giving me, and that's one thing I love about my mom. My mom is always kind of raised me to ask my own questions. She never forced anything on me. She was very like, be curious. Like, what do you think about it? But
Yes.
once I went to school, it was more like, no, you need to. This is how you got to do it. If you don't do this, you're gonna be on the street. You're gonna be a bum. You don't want to be one of those people. So
Exactly.
and
Yes.
I understand it. I understand the reasoning for it. I get it, but I wish there was somebody that kind of did that, and which is a big reason why the stuff I do today is still kind of rooted in freedom. It's rooted in like trying to get people to think for themselves or get your own opinion on things. It was actually one person that gave me a critique on the book, and no, if anyone feels the same way about the book after they see it, I understand. That's on you. But one thing that one person said they wish I had was more captions. And for me, that's a personal decision. For me, I don't. I chose not to do it in this book anyway because I wanted people to figure it out on their own. I didn't want
Yes.
to give you a reason, a thing to go. Okay, that's what that photo means. It's like no, I want you to have your own interpretation. You to see it for yourself. And if you don't understand it, well, why don't you? And if you don't feel it, you don't feel it either. That's
That's
cool
right.
too.
That's right.
But I think that's important because everything's being so force fed to us and think this way, be this way, do that. And I think that's a big reason why the artistry is kind of dying down because we're not trusting the audience to get it. We're scared. We're almost like treating people like they're like bots instead of
Yeah.
human beings with their own emotions and stories. So
Oh,
to answer your question, yeah.
well, when you went to the bot thing, I could have. I mean, I have so you got you have to come back again. You have to come back
Oh, I
again.
would love it. Come on, man. New York, what's up?
Because there's so much to talk about. I want, I want, like I said, respectful of your time, but there's so many other areas that you have really have such insight, and I love one of the things you mentioned is don't be a slave to the algorithm.
Oh yeah.
I just thought that
Yeah.
was so cool in the book, and then also your last page of the book,
Mm-hmm.
and it says, "We are the
We're
light."
the light. We're the light.
Man,
Yeah.
Jamal, Kamal, I got Jamel and Kamal in
You
my
got all
head.
these names. I get it. I get
I'm like,
it.
but Kamal X, Mr. Kamal. Man, I think there's a couple more quotes, a couple more comments here.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa says, "Thank you, Kamal. Can't wait to get your book." Chrissy
Thank you,
says,
Omar.
I like giving people the option to draw their own conclusion. I love
Right.
that."
That's where the truth is at.
Omar
That's where the
is
truth is at.
sending applause. Trish says, "Thank you, RLP, for these amazing guests." Um, I almost muted Ron. Thought he was going to tell us everything again. Nope, you gotta check out the book. You gotta check out the book. Jamel Shabazz says, "Another great exchange." I
All
see
love.
some
All
applause
love.
going on in this comment area. So, guys,
Oh, thank you,
again,
Charlene. Thank you so much.
you can find his book, his purchase on Amazon, Black Astronaut, The Stars Belong to the People by
Mm.
Kamal X. Check
Yeah,
that
yeah,
out
yeah.
on Amazon. And guys, you know we have our meetup this weekend coming up. We'll be meeting at the Brooklyn Museum for everyone in the Touch Base Daily community, and also my RLP, which is my photography meetup group. We'll be meeting at 2:00 at the Brooklyn Museum. I will be there earlier. I'll probably be there at noon or probably 11:00 because there's so much I want to see at the museum. And also,
Is that on
if you are
Saturday?
this Saturday coming up.
Oh, I'll be there. Okay, awesome.
If you come
I'm
out,
going to be there anyway. So there we
you're
go.
gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
supposed to be meeting friends there on Saturday. So this is awesome.
maybe I should bring my book with me.
Hey, we'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Yes,
We'll
we're
talk.
gonna talk
Yeah.
offline. And
Yeah.
also, guys, just so you know, the exhibition of Long Journey Forward Black Men in Passage, which is curated by our wonderful Jamal Shabazz and Howard Cash, is still up until March 9th. So please check that out at the Wilmer Jennings Gallery at Ken Kaliba on 219 East 2nd Avenue, 2nd Street, Avenue B in New York City. So check that out as well. Those are my announcements. And I think we're good. Let's see. I think some more little comments that popped in there. Charlene says, "You have new followers in me."
Thank you. I'm following back. Thank you so
And G
much.
says,
Thank
he
you
sends
so
hearts.
much.
Lisa's sending stars.
I see
Please
purple
like.
hearts. That Prince vibes. I see purple hearts. We talking Prince?
Yes.
What's going on?
Yes, when I found out you love Prince, I said, G is
Oh
gonna
yeah.
love you.
Yeah. That's my guy. Yeah. I wish I could show you some. Yeah, that's my guy.
Oh,
We
G
all
is
know. We
gonna
all know.
love you. Oh, you guys gonna have a lot to talk about. Miss G R Houston Jack she is like the Prince. She is Prince all the way.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Kamal, this was so awesome. I am so glad you joined us today. This is this will go down as one of my favorites.
Oh
Definitely not
man.
to knock out the rest,
Oh,
but this is definitely
oh man.
so
Thank you so much.
special to see you doing what you're doing, and just watching you, maneuver through and creating your art and creating your photography and getting and making a statement with your visual eye, and telling the visual story of our planet and our earth and our world. And I have this saying that when we are photographers, we are called. It is our ministry, and we do not take our calling lightly when we love what we do. And as photographers, we get the blessed ability to be the eyes of the world and to show it to
Mm,
the rest of the world. And on
mm.
that note, guys, you know how we roll. I'm going to keep this rolling at the end. You guys got about a minute or two. You guys can have your comments and connect and exchange information and all that good stuff. But guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, Kamal X, Mr. Kamal X, thank you for joining us today. And I am
Oh,
so grateful.
oh,
Thank you,
me
guys.
too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And we're out of here. Bye-bye, guys. I was supposed to end the video, but I'm still on. Let's try that again.